Can I ask everyone to come in? We're about to begin. If everyone could please enter. If everyone could come in, we're about to start. Shh. If everyone can come in. I love how they listen. If everyone could come in. Start. If everyone can come in, we're going to begin with Havdalah. If I could ask everyone to come in and take a seat. Thank you. Okay. Shh. Thank you. Okay. Could I ask everyone to come in and take a seat? Chad, if you're still anywhere in the vicinity, can I ask you to get the lights? Jonah Freund, you wanted to come up and light the Havdalah candle? So I just want to explain, we're about to do Havdalah. It's not a long ceremony. Anyone who's ever been to what they call a Havdalah service, really a twilight service, will know what I refer to. It's how we demarcate or separate Shabbat from the regular week, or in some cases Shabbat from, a holiday from the regular week. We do it over 3 ritual objects. We do it over brimming glass of wine or grape juice, since I realize we still have a lot of people here under the age of 21. We do it over besamim or spices, and we do it over a multi-wicked or a multi-braided candle. Do you want to light it? And my assistant, very good, right? First try. Jonah's going to light the candle. Chad, you can get the lights. I'd like to invite anyone 21 or over who's in the sanctuary to come up and join us up on the stage. Don't be shy, and take a bisamim. As I mentioned, the ritual objects all signify something. Wine is something that we have at the outset of Shabbat and at the conclusion of Shabbat. It's also one of the first things a baby boy tastes when he's 8 days old, right? The idea is that we should have something good on our palate in the week ahead. We also, it incites our sense of taste. The bisamim, or the spice bags, which I'm inviting, again, anyone 21 or under to come take, it incites our sense of smell, right? The idea is we should smell good things for the week ahead, help restore or revive our sense of vigor and vim. Come close, don't be afraid. Under 21, but you could, it doesn't matter. You know what? Just come up at this point, right? Finally, the multi-wicked or the multi-braided candle. I know, I told you all to be seated, and now I'm telling you to come up. The multi-wicked or the multi-braided candle gives off a very powerful light. We can now benefit from lighting candles, something we couldn't do in ancient times before the advent of electricity. And one of the things you'll do is you'll notice when I hold up the candle, people hold up their fingertips to the light of the flame. And they watch the light of the flame dance with their fingertips, distinguishing between light and darkness. And you also see your nails. They say your nails is the very last thing that stops growing. And the idea is that as we head into the work week, there should always be opportunity for continued growth. So we incite our sense of taste with the wine. We incite our sense of smell with the aromatic spices, and we incite our sense of sight with the multi-braided candle. And we hope that this is a better week for Israel, and we hope that all the hostages will be freed, if not by the end of this week, at least by Hanukkah. Now, when Dr. Judy Middleman was putting together this program, she said, will the cantor be here to lead us in Havdalah? So I said, no, the cantor's going to be in Israel. He's singing to patients in the hospitals there, trying to revive their spirit and help heal them spiritually as they're being healed physically. But I said, it's okay, you got the next best thing. So she said, Chad? So I said, no, me. So I want everyone to stand up, like I said, right? This is participatory. Don't be afraid to come close. I'm going to ask you to pass out this bisamim, the spice bags, the aromatic scents, and I'm going to ask you, when I tell you, to each take a sniff of the bag, of the spice bag, and then we'll return it to the basket to be used again. Jonah, I'm going to ask you to hold the candle. They say the height that you hold this candle, this will be the height of your future beshert. And finally, I just want to mention, we're going to begin by singing Eliyahu Hanavi, which I think everybody knows. It's Elijah the prophet. We sing for Elijah the prophet at the Pesach Seder, and also at any liminal moment, any transitional moment. Havdalah is meant to be a transitional moment. So I know we still have spice bags here, so don't be afraid. Come on up, don't be shy, take one, right? I promise you're not going to catch on fire or anything like that. And please join in singing with me. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Bimheira Beyamenu, hold it from here, Yavo Eleheinu, Imashiach ben David. Hold over this. Imashiach ben David. Everyone sing. Eliyahu Hanavi. Eliyahu Hatishbi. Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi. Probably a lot of you know the tune. It's an easy tune. But, all you have to do is say at the conclusion, Amen. We're going to say 3 different blessings. Lai, lai, la, 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 lai, 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 la, 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 lai, 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 la, 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 lai, 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 la, 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 la. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Borei peri hagafen, Borei peri hagafen. We say, Amen. Lie, lie, la 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 lie, 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 la 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 lie, 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 la 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 lie, 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 la 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 lie. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei v'samim. We smell them now? Borei minei v'samim. Amen. Lie, lie, la 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 lie, 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 la 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 lie, 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 la 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 lie, 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 la 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 lie. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei morei ha'esh borei morei ha'esh. And we say Amen. Amen. Lie, lie, la 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 lie, 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 la 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 lie, 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 la 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 lie, 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 la 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 lie. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavdil bein kodesh lecho bein or lechoshech bein Yisrael lamin bein yom hashvi l'sheshet yemei hamaaseh baruch Ata Adonai hamavdil bein kodesh lechosei. Amen. Lie, lie, la 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 lie, lie. Take a sip. Lie, la 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 lie, lie. Lie, lie, la 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 lie, 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 la 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 lie. Shavua tov, Shavua tov, Shavua tov, Shavua tov. Shavua tov, Shavua tov, Shavua tov, Shavua tov. Eliyahu hanavi, Eliyahu hatishbi, Eliyahu hagiladi. If everyone could return the spice bags to our past president, chair of the board, Sandra Weingarten, we appreciate it. Thank you all very much, and please have a seat. I'm going to turn things over to the ever-reliable Todd Richmond and Dr. Judy Middleman, who helped really make this program a reality.
All right, good evening, everybody. Shavua tov. So first off, when you guys, first of all, this is Judy Middleman, Dr. Middleman, and our amazing husband, Dr. Robert Freund, who we want to just say thanks to Judy. She really was the great community. And we weren't so sure we were going to do this during Thanksgiving, but she said, but she was sure. And so we just want to thank you all for taking the time. When you leave, we have these amazing t-shirts for you guys as well. End Jew Hatred. Michelle Ledoux, who is the founder of End Jew Hatred, she's somewhere here with her amazing daughter. Back there is going to come up and speak for a few minutes. But we have these t-shirts. Thank you, Michelle. Very cool. They're outside before you leave, so take one. First for the kids. If we have extras, then the adults can take it. So sorry about that.
Thanks to Nancy Powers. Thank you to Nancy Powers from Birthright, who provided us with some of our materials here today, and who ran a program at Greenfield's house, which was really the inspiration for this, and to Erica Donner, who coined the term move the needle, which really was the inspiration for this. So every time somebody identifies and reports anti-Semitism, we can move the needle a little bit. So that's the purpose of tonight. And thank you to the rabbi, and if Chad is around here, Chad did the whole setup, and nothing happens here without Chad. So
Please make sure you thank him. Did you know that Eric and I basically went to high school together?
I did not.
Wow, isn't that amazing?
All right.
Not that anybody else here cares. Sorry about that. So, welcome everybody. First, we want to welcome the students that are here. We really want to thank you for taking your time. Thank you, Mona. Out of your busy weekend schedule to be here to learn a little bit. We really appreciate it. We're going to try and get you out of here by 6:30 if we can. I know some of you have plans for the city. But we also wanted to tell you as parents how proud we are of you. You know, it's not so easy in this day and age to really go out and be proud Jews and be proud Zionists. And the fact that you're here tonight really just shows, you know, your feelings, your strength, your promise. And we just wanted to really tell you as parents and your parents that are with you how proud we are of you, and just keep it up, be loud and proud. That's the important thing right now. Tonight we're going to learn a little bit about what anti-Semitism is and what anti-Zionism is on college campuses. We're going to talk about how to combat it and what you can actually really do about it. Tonight we're going to hear from two great students. We have Mel Schwartz and Zach Ostroff who are here. I'll introduce them in a little bit. They're going to talk a little bit about their experiences on college campuses and kind of give you guys some ideas what you can do in terms of bringing it back to your campus. We have David Clappel, who is here tonight. David is the international president for Sigma Alpha Mu. Sammy. Also happens to be my stepbrother, but he's in for the Giants-Patriots game, so he really wanted to come. And he's going to talk a little bit about what the fraternities and sororities are doing, and once again, what you can do, right? This is about empowering you to go back to your campuses and be advocates for Israel and the Jewish people. And then we have Michelle Ledoux, who I already introduced, and Jew Hatred is going to come up for a few minutes and talk a little bit about some of the stuff that she's doing. Maybe talk a little bit about your kids as well. They've been great. And then the amazing Billy Richmond, who is related to me, is going to talk a little bit about Birthright. He is a Birthright ambassador and a proud Jew as well. So we're really excited to hear from Billy. So really what I wanted to do before I bring up people is to kind of talk about a couple of what I consider fallacies that are out there on college campuses. So I gave everybody a pamphlet, right, which looks like this. And I'm just going to kind of go through it really quickly. Really, really quickly. And if you have questions, you can ask me now. Yeah, if you need some. Okay. Hopefully this is not my only copy. We have some in the other room. I'm coming to you, Yadagari. Let's see. Okay. I actually have a couple more. If anybody needs some, I actually have a lot. So I'm going to just maybe just take one, share them as much as you can, just pass them backwards. Oh, and Jose would like one as well. Jose, you know, it's your kids that want to get out of here, so you're wasting our time. No, I'm joking. I'm joking, Dean. Take that over. Thanks, bro. All right, so one of the things that we see constantly on college campuses, and actually not even on college campuses, but we see them, Mahmoud Abbas, who's in charge of the Palestinian Authority, people in Europe, they use this map, right? This map of Palestine, which if you look on the top left, right, they use it that basically there was a country named Palestine before the partition of Israel. And what they try to do here is they try and do something which is, I believe, and I think it is the truth, I was just listening to someone talk about this the other day, something that's dishonest, to fool people, to create a narrative that is far from the truth, right? They try to make it seem that Israel stole the land from the Palestinians. But that's not true. This is land that was owned by Jews. Don't forget, and we'll go into another map later on, that Jews have had a constant presence in the land of Israel for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Jews are indigenous. Jews are indigenous to the state of Israel. So when people talk about that Jews are, colonizers, they make it seem that Jews came in 1947. The first written thing about Jews being in the land of Israel was 2500 BCE, before the Common Era, right? So that's like 4,500 years ago. Yes, I can do my math. But they're using this analogy out of context, which is important because what they're trying to do, once again, is to kind of deceive what people are looking at. So what I'm going to kind of go back and forth really quickly, but if you look at page 3, right, this is what the land of Israel, or Palestine, looked like in 1947. The blue dots are where the Jews lived. The green dots are where the Arabs lived, right? Before 1947, it was Palestine, right? It was renamed Palestine for thousands and thousands of years. Where's Jacob for you? Want to talk about why it's called Palestine? I know you want to do it. But it was basically, it used to be called Philistine, and then it went into the word Palestine. And so once again, they make it seem like the Jews stole the land from the Arabs. But you can see here, before they partitioned the land of Palestine, this is where the Jews and this is where the Arabs lived. So if you go back to the first page, right, once again, they make it like the green part was once again where Palestinian Arabs lived. This was, if anyone's been to the Negev, right, it's not livable. No one lives there. There's a little bit of irrigation. It's once again making this kind of this fallacy that there was this place, Palestine, and that the Jews stole the land. And that's what happened when they started to leave in the 1947 partition. If you look at the 1947 partition, and you go to that map on page 3, they just divided Palestine between the Palestinian Jews and the Palestinian Arabs. Remember, there was no Israel before. It was Palestinian Jews. They divided it up, and then it keeps going. And what they do is they'll end up showing the last part of the map, that this is all the Jews have given to the Palestinians. Once again, that's really not the truth in terms of this. And that's why when you look at the bottom part, right, we say fake and we say real. Once again, before 1947, who controlled Palestine? Anybody? Britain, right? So, and before that, if you look at the next page, for 400 years, use the mic, sorry. For 400 years, I guess because of the Zoom, for 400 years before that, the Ottomans controlled it. And before that, it was always controlled by somebody else. Right? So there wasn't a land of Palestine, it was an area where Jews have had a constant presence for thousands and thousands of years. Do not let people tell you that Jews are colonizers. They are indigenous to the land of Israel. And if you look on page 4, just so you know, I kind of wanted to show really quickly, just a little bit of the historical map to once again show the indigenous part. Right? Once again, Jews have been there for quite a long time, Israel in biblical times, and then it goes on and on. One of the things that I also think is important about the aspect of giving up land for peace, and Israel has offered that numerous times for a two-state solution that has been consistently rejected by the other side, is it's really important for you to know how small Israel is. If you compare Israel to one state in terms of size, what size is it? No, New Jersey, right? Now, if you look on this map here, there are parts of Israel that are only 11, I think it says 11 and 14 miles. Zach, who's going to speak tonight, is from Great Neck. Yeah, there's basically like driving from here to Great Neck. That's not a very thick country. I mean, I think it was President Bush who told Ariel Sharon that their driveway is longer in Texas than there are the width of what Israel would be if they gave up the West Bank. So it's important for you to understand that as well. Now, the next thing really before I bring up our speakers is the word genocide and the word ethnic cleansing. We're constantly hearing on college campuses that the Israelis are committing genocide against the Palestinian people, that they are ethnically cleansing the Palestinian people. And if you look, I have the definitions from Webster's. Genocide, the deliberate and systematic destruction of a racial and political or cultural group, and ethnic cleansing is the expulsion, imprisonment, or killing of an ethnic minority by a dominant majority to achieve ethnic homogeneity. And that's on page 6. But if you go on page 5, what is ethnic cleansing? If you look at the top of this, ethnic cleansing is what happened to Jews from Arab lands. Okay? People don't realize this. There were 850,000 Jews from Arab lands that were ethnically cleansed from those countries. And if you see here, right, Algeria had 140,000, less than 50 today. Iraq, 135,000, less than 10 today. If you look at, it's not here, but Iran also had, it was like 100 something, right? And now they have around 10,000, I think, there today. Tunisia, actually, I don't even think it's 1,050. I think it's actually almost zero. And Yemen is the same thing as well as Egypt. That is what ethnic cleansing is. That's the displacement and kicking people out. If you look at the bottom, this is the population of Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza. In 1992, there was 1.96 million. As of 2022, there was almost 5.5 million. You cannot say that the Israelis are ethnically cleansing or committing a genocide when the population has grown something like 5-fold. These are facts that you need to know. These are facts that are really important for you to know. And we're going to talk about anti-Semitism. This will be the last thing. You need to understand what anti-Semitism is. There's something called the IRA definition, the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance definition. It's here. When people on campus, on the bottom part where I have it in black, bold, underline, and italic, when they draw comparisons of contemporary Israel policy to that of the Nazis, that is anti-Semitism. If people are saying that Israel is committing genocide or they are ethnically cleansing, that is anti-Semitism, and you need to report that. And I think when we have our guest speakers up next, they'll tell you exactly how to do that. When people talk about from the river to the sea, anyone know what that means, from the river to the sea? What river? What sea? So from the river to the sea, that means the genocide of the Israeli people. That is anti-Semitism, and that is something that you should report as well. And this definition is back in the anti-Semitism paperwork that the President of the United States just unveiled. This is something that the United States government uses in their definition of what anti-Semitism is. So it's important that you understand that when people are glorifying martyrs, when people are talking about genocide, when people are talking about from the river to sea, those are bits of anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism that we see on college campuses today, and you can't stand back. You have to be vocal about it, and we'll tell you ways today, like if you don't want to be the person out in front, there are ways that you can kind of do it behind the scenes as well. So take this. If you have questions later on, let me know. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to bring up our two speakers, Zach and Mel. Where are you? Come on down. Woo. So Zach and Mel, because apparently Chet told me I have to be on this mic. I'm going to put you guys over here, if that's okay. Great. So first of all, I want to thank Zach and Mel for taking the time out tonight. Zach, who's from Great Neck, it's not that far, but his whole family's here. You better do well, just so you know. But Mel just drove out from White Plains, so I really want to thank her for taking that time. Really appreciate it. So first, if you guys could just tell us a little bit about yourselves, what school you go to, maybe what organizations you're involved in, and then from there I'll kind of lead it into some other questions.
Okay. Hi, I'm Mel. I'm a junior at Cornell. I'm studying industrial and labor relations. Like it was said, I'm from Westchester, New York originally, and I'm really excited to be here. A little bit about myself is I'm vice president of Cornellians for Israel, our only pro-Israel group on campus. I'm also chair of Israel programming for our Cornell Hill Student Executive Board. And then just some outside organizations. I'm on the AJC Global Campus Board, and I've been involved with Stand With Us and APAC, and yeah.
My name is Zach Astroff. I'm a freshman at the University of Maryland. I'm a freshman and just got involved with the Pro-Israel organization on campus, which is Terps for Israel, and I'm part of their education committee. And on top of that, I'm getting myself involved with APAC, with their political summit that just happened in Washington, D.C.
Fantastic. Thank you. So, Mel, sorry about that. I know that. Mel, could you talk a little bit if you've experienced anti-Semitism on college campus, and just talk a little bit about that. And then after you're done with that, and I'm going to ask Zach the same question, talk a little bit about some of the things that you're doing about that.
Yeah, totally. So I'm going to try and condense it because there's been a lot of anti-Semitism recently. But overall, our campus has seen some major things. It started when a professor said that Hamas's attacks were exhilarating and energizing, which is obviously super unacceptable and uncomfortable for every Jewish student to hear on a college campus. And then we had vandalism that I don't even feel comfortable saying, really inappropriate words that, one, should never be said, and two, especially vandalized illegally on a college campus. What am I missing? Oh yeah, and then we had, the most important, the biggest, is we had a student write anonymously on this website called Greek Rank, which again is full of anonymous chats about Greek life. He wrote awful things. He threatened to shoot up the kosher dining hall and the Jewish Living Center. He threatened to bomb the same facilities. He said that everyone should follow Jewish women home and slit their throats. And horrible things, again, I don't even want to say. But those have been the three huge things that have happened on our campus. And then, even smaller things that I've experienced personally. I've been in classrooms where I was in a poetry class and someone said that Israel was a settler colonial state. And honestly, I was a freshman and it went right over my head. I didn't even realize that was extremely anti-Semitic. So those are just some of the examples I've experienced in the past 7 weeks and the past 2 years at Cornell.
So last year, when I was making my college decision, one of the strongest pull factors for the University of Maryland was that they have such a strong Jewish community. And prior to the events on October 7th, I never thought it was possible that a campus like the University of Maryland could experience anti-Semitism, let alone to the extent that I've seen and been extremely disheartened by. We've had the largest plaza on campus that all students have to walk through to get to whatever class they're going to, be defaced with incredibly anti-Semitic rhetoric, saying things like Holocaust 2.0, Holocaust 2023, and even some worse things that I don't really want to mention. And then on top of that, I've spoken to some of my fellow students who have been singled out in their classes for being Jewish, and professors have said things like, have taken their books and said, this is what the Israelis are doing to the Palestinians, embarrassing them in front of their entire classes. I've spoken to students who have had anti-Semitic things hurled at them as they were just walking to class simply for having outward signs of their Judaism, for wearing a Magen David, for wearing a kippah, and no student should be subject to that kind of anti-Semitism just for doing something like walking to campus. And on top of all of that, we've had SJP at our campus who have had an increasingly large presence over the course of the past few weeks that have had some demonstrations where they chant these incredibly anti-Semitic slogans that I'm sure all of us have heard, such as From the River to the Sea, and Revolution and Intifada, which calls for the killing of Jewish people all across the world.
Great. Should keep my jacket on. You're showing me off there, Zach. Mel, if you wouldn't mind I've had great conversations with the two of you and really impressed with both of you. Can you talk a little bit about some of the things that you have done to combat it? And while you're talking about it, Judy is going to write up on the board for everybody to see, action items, right? I think even when we talked about some people didn't want to be seen, so they did it anonymously through Hillel and stuff like that. That'd be great if you can kind of talk a little bit about that.
So I think there are two parts to this. One is, when these bigger scale things happen, either globally, like the war going on right now, or, like the professor speaking out and the threats that the student put online. To combat that, in a bigger, larger scale, so the whole campus knows what's happening. We've had vigils and we've had rallies, so the campus knows that we're here and we're strong and we stand united. And I think that is super, super important. I think it's like the biggest thing you could do right now is just, first of all, come together as a community for yourselves, I think is super helpful and makes me feel better. But also, showing the campus that we're here and we're not going anywhere. And then specifically, I think when, if I knew as a freshman when my professor said that, I think the biggest thing, and again, it varies from campus to campus, but at Cornell specifically, bias reports are super, super important because although the administration probably won't act on it at all, what they do is at the end of the semester or year is they compile all of it. So they have numbers, and it's super, super important because, it just goes into the statistics. So, if you don't report it, they will not know.
That's in a professor review?
So they have it, at least this is Cornell, I'm sure it varies university to university, but I'm sure it's somewhat similar. They have a form online. You just go, they have it, Cornell's obviously going to be different than everyone else's, but you go to cornell.com, cornell.edu, and you go to fill out a bias report. And it could be about anything.
Anonymous?
It could be anonymous. You can put your name. And the next step for that is, that's I think the most important thing you could do is just so the university knows. But it's also super important for yourself to feel comfortable in that class. So I was going to say, it's with the bias report, at Cornell you could be anonymous or not. It doesn't really matter, to be honest, because university probably won't do anything. But you should go to your Jewish organization on campus, whether that's Hillel, whether that's Chabad, whether that's or all these other things. If you're in high school, obviously you'll find out what those are. If you're in college, but they'll help you either talk to the professor directly, or if you don't feel comfortable doing that, going to higher administration to make sure that you feel comfortable in that class and make sure the professor knows what they said was wrong and to be corrected and to take the appropriate steps. And yeah.
Wait, how do you go higher than, if you don't feel like you're...
So I think Hillel and Chabad and Jewish organizations help you with that, and student leaders.
And when you said you come together as a community,
Yeah.
you got your friends together, or that was through...
So that is when we have vigils and rallies, that's a larger scale thing. So we do that through Cornellians for Israel, the Israel group, or Hillel, or Chabad. And right now we're pairing up with everyone. Everyone wants to be together. So we, reserve space, we collect some speakers, we sing prayers, we say, a few words, just, what's happening, and just stand together with Israeli flags.
What was in one of our conversations, did we talk about, I guess, an example of a professor where, I guess, did students kind of complain and they didn't know what they could do, so they went to Hillel, and then Hillel kind of took it over and made the formal complaint with the school?
Yeah, so it's what the student feels comfortable with. So Hillel, at least at Cornell, is willing to take what the student says and handle it from there, if that's what the student wants. If the student doesn't want to have anything to do with it but feels uncomfortable, the Hillel staff or other student leaders could totally take it over. But also, if the student wants to be involved, the staff could introduce them to the appropriate administrators to talk to about it and figure out the next steps.
So I think yes, Mona.
I was struck by something that you said, that you could fill out these forms, but you didn't think anybody was going to do it.
Yeah,
And that's really my greater concern, because you could fill out those forms and they can end up in the trash.
yeah.
So why do you feel that way, and how can we be more vocal about making sure that that message gets through?
Totally. Again, I think this is also specific to
So
Cornell.
wait, let me just repeat. So what Mona just said was about the bias reports that Mel was talking about, that Mel kind of, feels in many ways that sometimes it just kind of gets pushed aside. So what can we do as students and as parents, right?
Yeah.
Let us tell the parents that you need help as well. What can we do to make
Yeah.
sure that they get heard?
Yeah, so I think that they get a lot of bias reports, not that that's an excuse at all, obviously, not an excuse, but they get a lot about little things, and I think that they ultimately do respond to it, but it could literally take months, which is obviously unacceptable. But for your voice to be heard, I think there's one, again, go through the larger Jewish organizations, and two, I think a lot of students don't know this. What I've learned just in the past few weeks is you should 100% reach out to your dean of students or your VP of student campus life. I've done that, as a student leader, but anyone can do that. That is fully their job. I've had one-on-one meetings with so many administrators. They want to hear from you. They do. And if they don't answer, that is awful. I've just expressed my concerns. I've said how I felt, how other people have felt, what they need to be doing, what I want to see them doing. And they've listened. They do. The dean of students is literally there to be there for students. And honestly, that's the biggest advice I could give, is whether you're a student leader or not, you should 100% reach out to them, either in a time of need or just to introduce yourself and make that connection in the beginning. And same goes from parents. My mom has been calling and emailing the same people over and over again, and I think it really makes a difference.
Do you feel a stronger presence in the, whatever you're affiliated with, whether it's Chabad, or do you feel a much stronger presence on campus?
Since the...
Just, at Hillel or Chabad or...
I do. I feel like, since the awful...
Whether people are religious or non-religious, do you feel...
Totally. People come out of the woodwork. People have wanted to step up. People want to help. This is an awful time to be on a college campus, and people want to come together and make it really, show the world that we're here again.
Deb, before I call on you, you're going to be the next question. I just want to ask Zach the same question, and then I want you to ask your question. Okay, you go.
That's really helpful. I think we're all very involved parents. That's why we're
Yeah.
I never heard of bias report. I just Googled 5 different universities, university bias report. A form popped up. In addition, who else can I contact? Just FYI.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So what Deb just basically said was Googled bias report, and it just came up for 5 different colleges and steps.
You do your university bias.
University bias report, Google it, comes up, and then there's a whole bunch of different steps. Thank you. That was
Also,
great.
I just want to add one thing too, is if something happens, and you should fill out a bias report just so they have the numbers at the end of the semester, but also you should get as many people to fill it out, 100%. Just because it happened to you, if a professor said something to you in private and no one else heard, doesn't matter. At least at Cornell, get as many people as you can to submit the bias report, 100%.
Yeah, so I think the key to what Mel is saying is that, Mel is the type of student that will speak to the provost and the vice
Right.
president of student affairs, and she's in their faces. But you don't necessarily need to be as amazing as Mel. We'd love for all of you to be. But you can also be anonymous as well, right? You can still make a difference. You can still make a point. You don't necessarily need to be that leader, but you can make a difference. Zach, if you could talk a little bit about some of the stuff that you've done and found it really interesting, some of the stuff that you've been doing, especially since you've only been on campus for, less, 2 months,
Yeah.
right? This is your first semester, and all of a sudden, here you are. You're out and about. It's amazing.
Right. So the first thing that I want to highlight is over the course of the past few weeks, we've seen the Jewish community both on college campuses in Israel and across the entire world become victims, not just victims of physical violence in Israel, but of mass anti-Semitism across college campuses and across the world. And the most important thing to note is, although we've become victims, we must not accept a victim mentality. Now is the most important time as Jews to stand up for yourself, to speak up for yourself, and to become a beacon of light in these times of darkness. I've been on campus for, thank you. I've been on campus for less than a semester, and I've already been exposed to many different ways that you can get yourself involved and make impact on your campus and beyond that. So the first thing is what Mel was touching on with these bias reports. Don't be afraid to take it beyond your university. The Anti-Defamation League, ADL, has a bias report that you can fill out, and they will 100% take action, especially if you're at a university where you feel like there might be inaction and it might get ignored or pushed aside. The ADL is there to help you, and the law is on your side. There is a law against discriminating on terms of both racial, ethnic, and religious basis against students in any way. And if you fill out these bias forms, which I know people who have at my universities, at other universities, to the ADL, they will take action. It will not go unnoticed. They are only there to help you. Beyond that, there are a few other things that you can do. The first thing is get involved on campus. I'm part of Terps for Israel. That's our pro-Israel community on campus. And in my time on campus, I felt that there's more to be done, and I'm currently working with a few other students that are part of Terps for Israel to bring an official cadre of APAC to our campus to strengthen our pro-Israel presence on campus. Beyond that, also, one of the greatest things you can do is just to educate yourself. Arm yourself with the knowledge that you need to be able to create these productive dialogues with people that either are anti-Semitic and you can expose them to their ways and to change them and to tell them why what they're saying is wrong, or more importantly, because some of those people just won't budge and they're anti-Semitic and that's what it is, but for the people that don't understand this topic, or for the people that are not educated, not knowledgeable on this topic, if you are armed with the facts and the knowledge and the information about what's going on, you can educate these people as to what's going on and build allies on your campus. On your campus, you can't be afraid to engage with communities beyond just the Jewish community. At the University of Maryland, I'm in a very unique position where we have such a diverse campus with a plethora of other student organizations that are not Jewish that we can get ourselves involved with. I'm currently trying to get an event coordinated between both the Hillel Chabad and the Black Student Union on my campus. It goes beyond just the Jewish student organizations on campus, but you have to get non-Jewish organizations involved as well.
That's great. That's great. Thank you, Zach. I have one more question for them, but before I ask that question, are there any other questions in the audience? Rabbi Stanger.
So the other night, they did it was online, the Skirball Institute did a forum with Larry Summers. You see it, Jeremy
Yes.
Zucker, and they were talking about a particular case in MIT, and admittedly, I don't have all the facts. I don't go to MIT, I don't know anyone who went there, but there was an issue where there were physical altercations between pro-Palestinian and anti-Palestinian protesters, and the pro-Palestinian protesters, even though they were repeatedly warned to clear a particular hall, and they didn't, they were put on sort of an administrative suspension. They weren't put on a full suspension by the administration, but they were suspended from all clubs and activities, not classes. And when the administration was pushed about this issue because they violated, after repeated warnings, campus law, so to speak, they said, well, a lot of these students are foreign students under foreign visa. Apparently MIT is 30% foreign students. And if you suspended them, they could lose their student visas and be deported. So we didn't want to do that. Now, forgive me, there might be a lot of people here who disagree with me. And Larry Summers says, no, I understand, I agree, I concur with that. I feel it does have to come off. So in cases where, I don't find the case with all of the pro-Palestinian student groups, but with a number of them, I think there are foreign students. Particularly Cornell, I imagine, also has a lot. So that's why, when Mel mentioned, if we file a report, that could have significant weight, even if it's not just that day or that week, to address it in the semester at the end of the year. I'm a student, if there are reports filed against certain students for certain things, physical altercations, assaults, what have you, they could risk losing their student visas. So that's something I think needs to be put out there.
Listen, I couldn't agree with you more. I think it is extremely important that if you hear of something that is happening on campus, to let the administration know. Fill out those bias reports. As Zach was saying, contact the ADL, right? Contact Stand With Us. There are so many organizations that will kind of bring that out for you. Yeah, so Stand With Us is an organization. We were going to have Avi Posnick speak tonight, but he had a family situation that he couldn't come. Listen, it's a great resource, standwithus.org. You will find so much information in terms of, some of the maps that I showed you. Great information. They basically were founded on this college aspect stuff, but ADL also fighting the hate crimes. Sandra, I see your hand is up.
When is it appropriate to call campus police and file a police report? Or local police, not even just the campus police?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, my opinion is you can call them anytime. I've called them just in the past few weeks, little stuff, bigger stuff. Police have been amazing, at least on my campus, and we are extremely, extremely thankful for them, and they want to protect us. And I think letting them know of stuff is only to benefit ourselves, whether how small. They're there to protect us.
Do you feel the same on Maryland?
Yeah, definitely. So I know it's not an exact comparison to Cornell, where there have been significantly harsher threats of physical violence to students on campus, so I don't know anyone who's had to call the police, but when we've had some of these events, such as a vigil for the loss of life after the event on October 7th, or also a ceremony that we held praying for the safe return of the hostages 2 weeks later, we have police presence. We always feel safe, but if you ever don't feel safe, you shouldn't hesitate to reach out and talk to them about your situation and why you feel unsafe.
Yeah, also the police at Cornell have been, we've had extreme anti-Semitism and extreme threats to our safety, but we've had 24-hour police at the Center for Jewish Living, which is a dorm for Jewish students, and the Kosher Dining Hall. And Hillel has police now, like 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Basically anytime a student would be there.
Yeah, and listen, I think before we move on to the next part, I think it's important for you as students to understand that, this is a different time, but anti-Semitism is nothing new on college campuses. I remember when I was a college student in 1991, I myself got involved. We had the Nation of Islam come. It was the second time they came to my school. The things they were saying about Jews the first time, I knew we couldn't stand back. We got in front of the administration. We held protests. We actually went into the speech of Khalid Abdul Muhammad when he spoke. Administration still wasn't doing anything. We actually called the media. We had ABC News was there, the Philadelphia Inquirer. We weren't going to stand back. So this isn't new. I think it's worse than it was. I don't think social media is helping. But what I would just say is, we are blessed to have the two of you as the next generation, right? It's always Lador of Ador. You guys are amazing, and we can't thank you enough for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to bring up Michelle Ledoux here, who I will, every time now when I go online or something, I do #NJewHatred. It's amazing. Your daughter Jules over here. I'll tell you, let me just say one quick story about I want you to talk about your older daughter as well.
Yes, of course.
They have something called, I guess it's the Peace Bridge, right, at Duke. Yes. And on one side, they have this, the Palestinians, they talk about free Palestine, the Palestinian flag, and they have a death count and all these things. On the other side of the bridge, you have this amazing thing where you have, all the pictures of the, the people that were kidnapped. You have, the Israeli flag, you have Am Yisrael Chai, and somewhere in between, I saw a Chai.
No, that was Jules.
And that was Jules. And it did not go unnoticed. It was in the middle of this, and a whole bunch of other things. Yeah. So it's even those little things that you can do as a college student that will resonate with somebody. I'm not even a college student, but Michelle Ledoux from NJewHatred, please.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everyone. Todd, you're awesome. Todd's amazing. So shout out to Tyler, that's also a freshman with Jules at Duke. Jules, that was just a great little anecdote. This bridge, it's sort of freedom of expression, but it shows that activism vibe for her to have gone there with spray paint on her 18th birthday, made a chai on the bridge, and then posted on social media the significance of it for her non-Jewish friends as well, of the 18 and the symbolization of hope. So that's just a little something. So, okay, so let me talk a little bit about End Jew Hatred. So actually, Todd, I'm not a founder, I'm the director now, but it's sort of a two-pronged situation. So the Lawfare Project, I don't know if anyone here has heard of it, but it's about 13 years in now. There's 4 full-time attorneys and a network of about 600 attorneys that just represent victims of anti-Semitism and have been doing that. So as plaintiffs come in, the plaintiff never, gets charged anything, but we dip into either our attorneys or our network of attorneys to make sure that Jew haters pay and set precedents to, make sure that whatever, whether it was a physician that was wearing a yarmulke to work and getting harassed for it, that will never happen again in that hospital that was, that suit was filed against. And about 3 years ago, Brooke Goldstein, the founder of Lawfare Project, came up with the concept of the first ever Jewish civil rights movement. It never existed before. There was no Jewish civil rights movement, which is really crazy to think about. I jumped in about 2 years ago and have now just sort of, taken it to the next level with our team. But what the whole concept is, guys, completely nonpartisan. The goal, which I love, Zach, I believe you said, getting people from all walks of life behind the movement. So you don't need to be Jewish to realize that the civil rights of Jews is something that needs to be upheld. You don't need to be Caucasian. You don't need to, so the whole idea is we want to get everybody behind this fight. So it's interesting, though. I've been with the team for about 2 years. The trajectory was, moving, we're gaining momentum, but last month it's just gone crazy up because I think all of us as a people are realizing that we need to act and it's go time. So that's where we are now. And when I say activism, guys, it's mobilization in so many different ways. On college campuses, that mobilization could be working with your Chabad to make sure that you have people coming out to a unity event. Mobilization can be talking to your non-Jewish friends or talking to a professor after class about something that happened that is not okay and you're not going to stand for it. Sometimes it's tough, I get it, and sometimes some of you might feel like you're totally unaffected. You might be in your fraternity bubble or your sorority bubble. I know a lot of kids, let's say a lot of my close friends at UMich, even though we hear so much is going on at UMich, they don't even feel it because they're in this world of 400 or 500 kids and living their life. But, the Jew hatred and the anti-Semitism is real. And in your own way, you have to be loud. I get it. Some of you might be nervous. It's not easy. But even if your own way is, it could be little posts on social media at the risk of losing friends. But you know what? Those friends aren't true friends to begin with if you lose friends. But you have to have the guts to do that. It's not easy. And I don't think that we're in a time that anything is easy. But this is what makes us all stronger. And we realize who our people are. And when I say people, again, not just Jews, we realize who our people are that are going to walk hand in hand with us and fight with us. So our older daughter, Alex, she's a junior at Duke now. She's extremely loud and proud on campus. When she was a freshman, so sort of like Zach, 2 months into Duke, she decided to found with a friend of hers, Students Supporting Israel at Duke. Student government sort of passed it by the skin of its teeth, and then the next day, a student on campus who was against the fact that SSI was going to be a Duke-recognized club made some comment on social media, oh, how nice that my school supports a settler colonial state. So Alex, on behalf of SSI, thinking that it was a nice thing, she reposted that and said, allow me to educate you as to why this is a false narrative. Come to our first meeting. Because of that post, Duke student government said that it was not appropriate for SSI to call out an individual. SSI got vetoed. It snowballed into a huge thing on campus that Fox News picked up, and it just became crazy. The reason I'm telling you this, she stood by her guns. They ended up getting administration involved while she was still having the time of her life at school. It was so interesting. I said to her, it's like, you're at Disneyland, and this is similar, I think, with a lot of colleges. You're at Disneyland enjoying the rides. If you decide to go under that roller coaster and behind the scenes and see who's controlling that ride, it might just be someone not nice that you never had to know, but because she put herself out there, she got to see that ugly side. But with diplomacy, she prevailed. SSI is thriving now on campus. And Duke is a great place at the surface. It's great, but I think her as students and us as parents, we have to make sure that these universities stay great. So now let me talk about end Jew hatred quickly. So what we do, we mobilize. So examples pre-October 7th are, for instance, CUNY law. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this situation, but 2 years in a row, in addition to a lot of curriculum there just not being okay, 2 years in a row they had horrendous speakers at their CUNY law commencement ceremonies. Just the worst, like slander, Jew haters had this podium, had applause from the deans. It is not okay. So we as a movement, we went and we rallied against CUNY law. What's the goal? The goal is to get a sit down with the chancellor, a sit down with the dean to see how we could from the inside out affect change. So we go and we rally, and it's a strange feeling. I know some people here have come to, Marty's here, people have come to our rallies, but pre-October 7th to get 100 people out at a rally was tough. October 8th, we held a rally across from the UN, and we had about 1,000 people there. People are awake now and realizing that we need to be loud and smart and diplomatic at the same time. You know, the CUNY thing was a perfect example of when I told my friends and family, come out, CUNY, oh, I don't have any kids that go to CUNY. And my warning was, this is not just a CUNY thing. It's you know, symbolic of what's going on at college campuses nationwide, and now I think people are awake and we're realizing that that's the fact. So to you kids, what I can say, you know, so ends Jew hatred, definitely follow us on, because we're very loud on social media, and we have an entire mobilization chat that Todd is a part of that, you know, we act. When we see something that's occurred, we quickly act. We have attorney volunteers that are drafting letters, those click and sign campaigns that you see, a lot of them are originating from us to apply pressure, social pressure. And then the thing that we have going for us is the legal pressure side. Because of the Lawfare Project, I know Stand With Us also has a great legal team. Brandeis Center, another great legal team. Thank God we have all of these different, you know, organizations that are here for you guys. So, you know, I think Zach spoke so well about the things that you can do on campus and be loud, but fact remains, if your civil rights are truly affected, the best thing you can do is file suit. Because that's when these colleges are going to really realize that they can't get away with what they're doing. So by all means, you know, there's one thing you might say, you might reach out to me. Everyone reach out to me, either at End Jew Hatred, or I'll give Todd my number to circulate. But you might reach out to me and say, Michelle, I'm not sure, you know, someone came in my face and said, river to the sea, you know, Palestine be free. Is that something that's actionable? To which we might say, you know, there's a fine line between free speech, hate speech, you know, protected speech. But if you're scared to get out of bed and go to class because the day before a group of 20 kids were blocking the entrance to your science class where you needed to go take a test, you know, that's something, you're paying tuition, that's something that very likely is actionable. So just know that legally we're here for you. When I say we, the Lawfare Project, I know Brandeis Center is, they do a lot with ADL, great work. They're there for you. So definitely know there's that legal piece. But I'll end with, when I say activism on campus, even wearing that t-shirt, hashtag End Jew Hatred, that's being an activist. I mean, look, think of the not corrupt Black Lives Matter, that's who we are. We're not corrupt, but we want you all to be loud. It's not always comfortable, but we're not living in such comfortable times. It's not always easy, but we're not living in easy times. We also have a campus fellowship program. Again, if you want to find out more, get in touch with me. The whole concept is just being loud and really being an umbrella to other student organizations. You know, End Jew Hatred, the whole concept is you could have an End Jew Hatred fellow. We have a fellow at George Washington University who goes to all the other events. So she'll table with SSI, she'll table with Hillel. And the whole idea is just to get everybody on the same page of protecting Jewish civil rights and getting everybody loud and proud. And also, as a fellow, you're sort of the funnel for somebody another student who might have a question or not feel safe or have a question about mobilizing. They can come to you and get help with that. And in terms of rallies on campus, we also provide microgrants, so we'll give you money. If you get in touch with us, we'll send you t-shirts, signs. We could help you figure out what the best place to rally is on a given campus. We're here for you. So check us out, and to the parents also, be involved. I don't know if anyone here is, but we have a huge group, sort of a mobilized movement of over 1,500 parents that are in all different action groups doing amazing work, affecting change. So that's a little bit about us.
How do they get onto the WhatsApp?
Okay, so WhatsApp, I will have to give you the link. I mean, unfortunately, there's not a better way. I'll give you the link, but I just want, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. And then I also want you to know, though, on Ends Jew Hatred, one word on Instagram, if you ever DM, I'm always checking also. So that's a very easy way to get through to me. Yes?
When you have a kid in a class and the teacher is very silently or indolently anti-Semitic,
Yes.
you sort of give that gray area anti-Semitism, what are the kids to do? Is that really out in your face, but they're still doing it?
I would say, A, the kid should write down every time the teacher says even a nuanced type of, whether it's a nuanced statement, whether it's, I know that some, I mean, this isn't exactly what you're saying, but in that situation, take notes. But if it's a situation also, I know that there have been a lot of colleges that different departments have sent, even different professors have sent an email out to the class within the past month. A gender studies professor from Syracuse sent an email out to her class about the conflict, about the war, which completely subjective with a lot of things that should not have been said in an email to, any student. Any Zionistic student is terrified to go to class the next day. So that's another instance. You take note, you write it down, you get in touch with us. But to your point, when it's a nuanced gray area situation, if the student feels uncomfortable and is nervous to speak up, which I understand, at that point they should just take note of it and either come to us or go speak to Chabad. I would say in that situation even Hillel, because Hillel's typically on campus as opposed to Chabad being off campus. They should get in touch with an on-campus leader that can be there for them. Even if it's a nuanced, very light, you don't want it to bubble into something bigger. Yes,
I have a question.
of course.
What are your suggestions to parents or to some of us here that want to inspire other parents? A lot of times in group chats or talks, I'll speak to other parents and like, well, I'm telling my kid not to wear his necklace or not to speak up. And
It's very, very tough.
yeah,
And
what do you?
I think it's a super tough question. The best I can say is that even my own parents and even my own husband gets nervous that my name or Alex's name is Alex Adud, Jules Adud on and they're posting and they're loud. It's
I'm laughing because Vera's looking at me right now. She's going like this.
So point is, what you're saying is very valid, and it's. I think what I would say, I'm a big proponent of you have to be loud and proud with diplomacy, even if it's extremely uncomfortable, and even if, look, I'm not going to say right now Alex is studying abroad in Florence. When she traveled for the weekend to Amsterdam, or there's certain things that just safety-wise, even me that I'm very out there and loud, I said, take it easy, you don't need to wear, she's decked out in every possible Magen David and Hebrew writing. I said, take it easy, when you're there, you don't know what's going on. But I would say on a college campus, to this extent that physically things thank God, haven't occurred yet, I'm a big proponent that as parents, we need to make sure that our kids are still loud and wearing their Judaism with pride.
My daughter's
And-
at Barnard at Columbia.
Yes.
University. Children's Magen David
Right.
classes are being ripped off them. It's not getting reported anywhere. But it's
Oh, well, that's a big thing. That's not a little thing. No, meaning that's a very big thing. So that's it. No, that's a crime. So actually, speaking of Columbia and Barnard, so 3 weeks ago, that's a perfect example of us at End Jew Hatred trying to support. We got in 4 Columbia students, 2 of the presidents of SSI, along with another Columbia for Israel organization, the name's escaping me. They got in touch with us. They sort of said, we want to be amplified, we want support, we need help, this is going on. So we said, separate from Lawfare Project, which right now, actually, Lawfare Project, a suit has been opened with Columbia, with the Lawfare Project. Funny story, it's somebody that the Lawfare Project filed suit with 3 years ago under Title VI. It's just now Columbia realizes that they need to get their act together, and it's going to court now. But what End Jew Hatred did, we rallied for these students. We ended up having, I think, on the drop of a hat, within 3 days, we put together a rally right outside the gates. There were about 700-800, a mixture of students. We got legislators there involved. So we gave the student, it's you guys, it's you that have the platform to talk about what's happening on campus, what you're feeling. What is just not okay that you're paying this crazy tuition and your 4 years should be the best 4 years of your life, but when things are happening such as what you're saying, getting a Magen David ripped off, or someone did get punched crossing the quad at Columbia. So we were there for support for them, and what am I trying to say? I guess the beauty of the support they felt by us getting this huge group together for them, and for them to then start singing Am Yisrael Chai and dancing and blasting music, it's something that I think resonated. They called me for the next 2 weeks after, thanking us so much for giving them, that feeling and giving them that backbone, in conjunction with the fact that legally we're here for them as well. So I guess to your point, we just have to do the best we can. But, oh yeah, sorry, and then I know that there's a lot. Okay.
Further to the statement of what you said, if the professor says something and you write it down, that's the perfect example of what goes into the bias report.
Exactly.
That you put in, whether it's anonymous or not. And usually,
Right.
what was communicated by my kids' universities was, in that bias report, you have the opportunity to say, I'd like to be anonymous, I just want to give the information, I'd like someone to contact me.
Right.
And if you request to be contacted, they should follow up and just at least talk to you about it. And then it does add up at the end of the year.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely true. Yes.
I just wanted to drill down on the welfare project because about a week or so ago, I had heard that it was imminent that they were going to be filing suits with 5 or 6 major college campuses, Harvard, Columbia, and others. So I was wondering if there's a way that any of the kids could tap onto that, and if they actually did file those suits. It was like imminent.
Yeah, so there's different things going on. There's another firm called Kasowitz. I don't know who's from a huge law firm in New York. Okay, so Kasowitz. So now you have all of these firms. I mean, sadly, there's more than enough work for everybody. It's a sad thing to say, but there's more. So what Kasowitz is doing, Kasowitz in the past has worked with Lawfare Project, some of their attorneys, when suits come our way. Their attorneys have worked on either a pro bono or reduced rate schedule. Kasowitz now, though, has already filed. I think that might be who you're speaking of, because Kasowitz has one big donor that their goal is to file suit at 6, 7 of the big universities. They've already filed NYU's the first suit. They have 3 students filing through NYU. Their goal is to get other universities as well behind. I don't think it's a class action, but they want to sort of just go gung-ho full force ahead. Lawfare Project, so far, as I said, Columbia is open. We have constantly, students coming to us for help and for us to determine. Cooper Union, whoever heard about what happened to Cooper Union, so we're speaking to Cooper Union students and helping them. Things take time. But I know Kasowitz is doing their part, Lawfare is doing our part. Brandeis has also been, recently also you hear different universities that they're...
A website at each of the universities or something general that you could let the students know, so in addition to the bias report, that they could be contacting the law firms.
Oh, no, actually, so I'm going to also I'll write them that also, because we have about at the Lawfare I'm going to write that down, actually, what the email is that any student, if they have any even question, if it might be a claim, you shoot an email and right away we'll let you know what this, a lawyer will get in touch.
A little bit more substantial.
Right.
Some students that are totally threatened.
Yes.
Go to a law firm, in addition to the bias.
Right. And I'm going to tell you, everyone in this room, in addition to, I'll give you this email address, I'm just going to go double check that I have it exactly correct, but feel free, I will give you my phone number. I have people texting me 24/7, whether it's parents of students, parents that want to mobilize and do something, students that want to mobilize. I'm here and I'm just constantly, getting back and feeding back to my team, whether it's myself getting back to you or the team getting back to you. So I'm going to give you guys my cell number as well as the email address to forward any possible complaints to. Okay? All right? Okay? Thank you.
Put it over there, Michelle?
What? Yeah, I am. I'm just going to confirm, the cell I'm going to put here, and then I'm going to confirm the exact Lawfare Project's email to get to. Okay? Thank you. Todd's the best. Thanks, Todd.
Thank you, Michelle. Two more quick things. Also, don't forget, at the end of this program, we have all the End Jew Hatred T-shirts out there. I'd like to bring up my stepbrother, my brother, David Clappel, who's the international chairman of SAMI, Sigma Alpha Mu, who's going to talk a little bit about what the fraternities and sororities are doing. He's really leading an unbelievable effort in terms of this issue. And so, David, after you.
Good evening, and thank you for having me here tonight. My intent was to come and support my brother. And when he heard I was going to come, he said, well, you're pretty busy in this stuff and have quite a bit going on, so please share. And I'm here to do that. These are very difficult times. Over the last 7 weeks, there have been over 360 anti-Semitic incidents at college campuses around the United States. And sadly, it's not anything new. Todd said that before. Several times a year, I'm involved in getting all sorts of graffiti and swastikas and things like that that have been spray painted on fraternity houses off our buildings. It's been there a long time. Right now, our organization and the other historically Jewish sororities and fraternities, and I'm going to tell you who all they are. On the sorority side, you have SDT, Sigma Delta Tau, and AE Phi, Alpha Epsilon Phi. On the fraternity side, you have ZBT, Zeta Beta Tau, AE Pi, Alpha Epsilon Pi, and my organization, Sigma Alpha Mu. We're all working very hard together. I don't know, how many of you were on the webinar or the web program about 3-4 weeks ago that the ADL put together that was sponsored by all of the organizations I just mentioned and many others, Hillel, Chabad, whatever, with college students who basically needed to feel like we were part of something together. Now, the fact that only a few of you raised your hands means that we got a lot of work to do. Specifically, and I just had a board meeting last weekend, in fact, with several deans of student affairs. We are focused on 3 things right now. Number 1 is the safety of all of our students and all Jewish students on campus. Number 2 is making sure that the mental health of all students on campus is not being affected by this. I don't know how many of you are aware of this, but somewhere between 1/4 and 1/3 of all college students today on U.S. campuses are being treated for some sort of mental health condition or issue. And something like this can create a lot of anxiety and stress and add to that. And it's a very serious problem on the campuses already, and it's going to get worse unless we do something about it. The third thing that we're trying to do is inform. You've already heard some of the types of things that we would be informing about the facts, what is real and what is a narrative that is being used. You've heard some information about some of the resources you have. We're doing all sorts of things like that. Let me give you some background to some of the things that have occurred recently and things that are upcoming. It turns out that on Monday this week, the 8th Annual Summit Against Hate, which is a project that is coordinated between SDT, AE Phi, ZBT, and Sigma Alpha Mu, 4 of the 5 organizations I mentioned before, will be conducting our 8th annual program for all of our members. And it will also be being shared at the advisory conference for the fraternities and sororities taking place in Tampa this week on Wednesday. And the topic this year is addressing anti-Semitism on campus. Similar to what we're doing for our members and those programs, we are out there very strongly trying to teach people not just about the facts, but how to use critical thinking, how to see the world not as black and white, but as all sorts of different shades. You can be sympathetic to Palestinian issues and still condemn the decapitation of babies and the rape of women. I'm sorry, I wear my heart on my sleeve, and it's hard. Our chapters, ours specifically, several of them have already put in place escort services for students who feel concerned about walking by themselves. And they've tried to become welcoming even to non-members who want to be around people who have a similar background and similar values. Our organizations, all 5 that I've mentioned, are no longer all exclusively Jewish. My own did away with that in 1953. I think ZBT was 1954. We've been talking about DEI over the last few years in America. All of the Jewish sororities and fraternities today have been doing that for decades. We're very serious about being welcoming to all. You heard about filing bias complaints on college campuses. How many of you know what Title IX is? Okay, Title IX is basically a federal regulation about sex discrimination. How many of you know what Title VI is? A few hands. Title VI basically is a federal regulation regarding discrimination based on race, ethnicity, and for the last 4 administrations, also on religion. Not only can you file bias complaints with your universities, you can file them with the Office of Civil Rights in Washington. They have a website, they've got forms you can fill out there. And you absolutely, if you're going to file them out at the universities and you're worried that they're not going to get taken care of at the universities, file them with the OCR as well, because the government has to do something about it. Every institution that takes federal funds, and that's every public and every private university in this country as far as I know, will have to answer to the government. So flood them with those if you've got them. And Office of Civil Rights, they're the ones who send out every couple of years those Dear Colleague letters, and that is sent throughout higher education. And we're trying to, it's the federal government. And if you are in violation of that, although I am not one who likes to admit that our society is way too litigious and gets involved in lawsuits, if something does cross a line, and the basic line that I'm talking about has to do with specifically physical violence and altercations and barricading people in Cooper Union's library, those are the types of things that you do want to think about filing lawsuits. And I'm talking about federal ones. They're expensive, they're frightening to everybody, especially the schools. The schools also have codes of conduct and rules and regulations. They apply to all the students, they also apply to the schools. And if they will not enforce their own codes of conduct, we need to start making some noises about them. My organization is about to sponsor a program in January where we're bringing together a classmate of mine who made Aliyah almost 25 years ago and his 5 sons who are now all married and all with young children and all serving in the reserves right now in Israel. Along with him, we have a young, recently graduated member from Miami University who is serving in the IDF. Along with those, we have a older alumni, more my contemporary, whose nephew is one of the hostages, Hirsch Goldberg, in Israel right now. And I'm sending my national vice president over to Israel. He'll be there on one of the Birthright volunteer trips to help out for a week or two. We're going to be doing a program live from Israel and here in the U.S. of all those people talking about their firsthand experience to share with our members, our alumni, and anybody else who wants to hear about it, what's going on there and how we feel and how this affects us. There's a lot more I could say. I'll be happy to stay after to talk with anyone who wants to. I will tell you this right now. The most important campus organizations for Jewish students still remain Hillel and Chabad. But the Jewish fraternities and sororities are also very important. It's very hard to stand out there by yourself sometimes and put yourself out there by yourself. But you will find friends and supporters in our organizations who will be there with you. You do not need to be afraid. Living afraid is not living. You need to be aware. You do not need to be in a position where you feel paralyzed. You need to be prepared. And lastly, and most importantly, you should not feel intimidated. You should feel informed. Go out there, live your lives. Do not let anybody push you around. Don't get into altercations. We follow the laws. What happened in Washington 2 weeks ago, on the 14th, was amazing. 290,000 people. Todd, you were one of them. I've seen a lot of pictures of you with a lot of important people out there. Peacefully getting their message across, very, very seriously communicating it. But we weren't barging into buildings and barricading things in and graffitiing anywhere. We were making our point the right way. And we cannot afford to do anything less because although those of you who are students today do not remember this, and even somebody my age, 60, was not alive at the time. My parents were alive at the time. I know what the Holocaust was, firsthand from my parents, secondhand to me. It cannot happen again. And the only way it will not happen again is if we stand up for ourselves properly, democratically, and vocalize and use every resource and every bit that we have at our hands. I thank you for taking the time. And I'm Israel Hai.
All right, so before we bring up our last speaker, wait, if you guys could just give 1 second before, I just want to take a picture. If you have the pictures of the hostages, just hold them up for a second. I just wanted it to take a quick picture. I don't even know, right, we have to remember the hostages, guys. We have to remember them. All right, what I'd love to do right now is bring up my son, Billy Richmond, who's going to close the program to talk a little bit about birthright. To me, one of the most important things. And as Billy's coming out, one of the things I want to say is that political activism is really important. So many of the members of Congress that represent your colleges are some of the worst members of Congress in terms of supporting Israel. Maybe register where you go to school. Contact them. You can go to apac.org, you can go to dmfi.org. Really, really simple. And being loud and proud, I will just say one thing about my son, Benji, who's at AEPI. Their fraternity has a big flag that says AEPI stands with Israel. A lot of the moms told them to take it down. They were freaking out about it. But Benji and the executive board there basically said, we're not taking it down because we've been hiding for too many years. We're proud Jews, and we're going to show them that. And as David said about Hillel and Chabad, you got to go. You got to bring people. I know Tyler and Mandy went the other day for Shabbat. I'm sure Danny and so many other people go as well. So without further ado, let's finish the program for what I think is one of the most important organizations in this country and in this world is Birthright.
Yeah, saving the best for last. With everything going on nowadays, it is very important to see firsthand why it is so important to fight what we are fighting for. To understand that these words people use to describe our people and our homeland couldn't be more false. That Israel is a place of peace and prosperity for every race and gender that lives there. And to see with our own eyes the beauty and unity that Israel has to offer. Luckily for us, we are all given a wonderful privilege by being born as Jews, and that is our birthright, that we, being Jews, have our birthright to visit the land of Israel. From the ages of 18 to 26, Birthright Israel gives us this opportunity and charters buses for a life-changing 10-day trip in Israel. This trip, however, is not just for people who haven't been to Israel, but for people who have gone as well. And one thing I love about Israel is that no matter how many times you go, every single time you leave this place with new views, new experiences, new ideas, friendships, memories, and much more. It is more important now than ever to go to Israel to learn about the history of our people, our country, visit Yad Vashem, make friends, make memories, and of course, always to have fun. Birthright Israel has changed my life as I went on my trip this past year. Having been to Israel many times before, this was my most meaningful and fun experience. Sorry, Mom and Dad. Touring around Israel and making memories with some of my best friends is something that I will truly never forget. However, for the first time, I was able to connect with Israelis my age, as every trip has soldiers on them. It is crazy to see that these people who play the same sports as me, listen to the same music as me, play the same games as me, also share their experiences about being in the IDF. Being at Mount Herzl and hearing them share stories of friends who have perished in battle, people who are younger than I am, and hearing about them defend their country and why it is so important to them and how they would give everything and gladly their lives to protect Israel is something I will always hold near and dear to my heart. The soldiers who on day one walked onto my bus as strangers are now some of my best friends in the world, and I still talk to them to this day. These same soldiers, people my age, people younger than me, are now fighting on the front lines, risking their lives to protect Israel. I know that all of these thousands of soldiers who are fighting, they're all just like me, and if they are willing to put their lives on the line for Israel, then I must do everything I can here in America to do what I can as well. Even though I cannot fight in Israel, it is just as important to speak up and be vigilant here. I also know that the people of Israel appreciate what we are doing here, as my soldiers constantly text me and swipe my Instagram, thanking me for speaking up and doing what I'm doing. But not only has Birthright Israel changed my life, I have firsthand seen it change the lives of my friends as well. I've seen my closest friends who weren't in touch with their Judaism go on this trip just to have fun, leave and say my kids must be raised Jewish and they must go to Hebrew school. These same people who have never been to Israel are now attending pro-Israel rallies, speaking out on social media and talking about how important Israel is to them, and they are now loud and proud Zionists. It might not seem like a long time, but 10 days are life-changing in more ways than you guys can think. I know a lot of you are in high school and not even 18 yet, but I urge you to get ahead of the opportunity and make sure that you don't pass up on it. Don't be the person that says, I'll go on birthright next year, and next year, Brett Katz, sorry. Get ahead of the game, because before you know it, you're going to be working, you're going to be busy, and it's going to be too late. And I promise you, you do not want to waste this opportunity. I wouldn't be speaking to you here today as a birthright alum if I didn't believe in this program and it's important. I urge you to take advantage of the one thing that every Jew is given the moment we are entered this world, and that is our birthright. Am Yisrael Chai, and I'll leave you with one last thing. I love being Jewish!
Thank you, Billy, and thanks to, Rabbi Stanger. Oh my God, amazing. I love that. Well, we got to get you to Israel. Yeah, well, thank you. And once again, a special thank you to both Mel and Zach for coming out tonight. And don't forget your T-shirts. They're in the other room, please. Otherwise, I got to take them all home. Don't forget to take a picture of things that you can do up front. Don't forget, we have the whiteboard. Take pictures of things you can do.